So today I'm cooking another dish from Extra Good Things, and that is a brown sugar meringue roulade. And it comes with burnt honey apples, so it's really lovely and wintry and delicious and celebratory. And I'm going to start by burning some honey. So I've got some runny honey here that pours beautifully into this pan. And I'm going to add, while this is pouring, I'm going to add some aromatics. So I've got bay leaves and cinnamon. And I'm going to also add some ground cinnamon and some flaked salt. And then I'm going to scrape this vanilla pod and add that as well. And essentially what we're doing is like we're infusing this honey with these wonderful flavors, but it also cooks down and burns and becomes beautifully caramelly, and so you get that kind of, for me, that kind of burn sensation is really the taste of autumn or early winter, and all this is going to infuse inside the honey. So I'm waiting for the honey to cook and go really nice, about 5-6 minutes on medium-high heat. Go caramelly, and while I do that, I'm going to prepare my apples. I'm using Braeburn apples. They're nice and acidic. They'll keep some of their texture and body as they cook. And but you can also use Granny Smith. It has to be, for me, it has to be a slightly acidic apple to balance against the sweetness of the honey and the roulade. This is how it is, so it goes quite nice and caramelly. Don't be shy to really burn your honey, because once you've added your apples, you're going to get this wonderful contrast. So I'm taking it off the heat, and I'm going to stop the cooking of the honey at this point by carefully adding some orange juice. I'm just going to give it a nice stir just to melt the caramel in the orange juice. And I'm going to take about 4 tablespoons and put them aside. And then I'm going to add the apples to cook in this honey. I'm keeping this honey and these aromatics to finish my roulade. And I'm going to use the remaining honey here to coat the apples and cook them in the oven. So I'll keep that here for a second, and then I'm just going to grab my apples. So I've got about half the honey here. I'm going to add those apples. And olive oil, and it sounds maybe counterintuitive, but the olive oil is a really nice balance. It kind of adds body and delicious flavors. So olive oil and the burnt honey. I'm just going to stir the apples into the honey, so just get them nice and coated. And I'm going to put this in the oven now for about 20 minutes, and I'm going to give it a stir halfway through, just to make sure that all the apples are evenly cooked. So my apples are in the oven, and now I'm gonna get ahead with the meringue. So I've got the egg whites here in this mixing bowl, and I'm just gonna get them started without anything, just to foam and start to whip up. So kind of medium-high speed. And while that starts to foam, I'm going to mix together caster sugar and soft light brown sugar. Oops. And I'm going to mix them up. And I'm using 2 sugars because the brown sugar has a higher humidity or moisture content than the white. So it brings moisture to the meringue. It makes it chewier and kind of fudgy in some way, and the white, the caster sugar gives it stability. So I'm going to do it in stages, and that's quite important. If I dump all the sugar in there, it's going to bring down all the air. So you want to take your time and just kind of do it a spoonful at a time. And now I'm just going to let the meringue do its thing. So a good 5 minutes on medium-high speed. So I can see that the meringue is really firm. It really holds its shape. So at this point, I'm gonna add 4 things. So corn flour, vinegar, which add stability. And then I'm gonna add some vanilla, more vanilla. So we have the vanilla with the apples, but also here in the meringue, and also some ground cinnamon. And I'm just gonna mix all these things together. Yeah, and this is ready. So look how beautiful is that, huh? You got that really solid meringue. And I'm gonna scrape the sides, get all the cinnamon in there, and spread it on a tray. It's so firm, and that is because I gave it time. So give it time to really come to this kind of consistency. And now I'm just gonna spread it on the tray. As even as possible, but you don't need to be too worried about spreading it completely evenly. This is quite a forgiving recipe. So this is good timings because my apples are just ready. So they've been there for about 20 minutes, and they look good. They've taken on color, and they're kind of coated in the, yeah, they're really nice. So I'll put them here for a second. And then I'll get my meringues straight in there. And the oven is on 200, so I'm giving this kind of shock of heat to the meringue just to get it going. But as soon as it's in there, I'm taking it down to 180, and that's how it's going to stay until it's cooked in about 35 minutes. So I've got my meringue in the oven, the apples are cooked, and now I'm gonna make a cream filling. So I've got mascarpone cheese and some double cream. So it's quite a rich cream, thanks to the cheese, but it still is very, very soft and beautiful. I've got some grated orange. So you notice there is orange in with the apples earlier. So again, those kind of wintry flavors. And I'm gonna start working that. And I'm just bringing it to kind of soft, medium soft thick, so you can spread it nicely on the roulade as soon as it's ready. Yeah, so this is nice and thick. I'm gonna give it one little whisk. Yeah, that's all ready. So this meringue has been out of the oven for about an hour, so it's completely cool, which you have to do because you don't want to put the cold cream over a hot meringue. So you need to let it cool down, but you can really do it a day in advance. So what I'm doing now, I'm gonna take the meringue out of the tin and roll it. And if you do make it a day in advance, it's advisable to do that. So let it cool down and then flip it over. But I'm just going to take the paper off now because I am going to assemble my meringue roulade. There you go. So this is my whipped cream, and I'm going to spread most of it, but not all of it, on my meringue. And this can also be done quite loosely and with no much precision. I'm not gonna get all the way to the edge because I'm gonna trim the edges. And now I'm gonna get my apples. They also need to be completely cold. So they've been cooked, and all those flavors, the burnt honey, vanilla, cinnamon, orange juice, they're all there. And I'm just gonna spread them over my pavlova. So that's kind of like evenly spread. And you can, in other seasons, you can use other fruit. Earlier, there's plums. Plums would be, like roasted plums would be really, really nice here. Obviously, in the summer, you've got berries and stone fruit. Those are also great. You don't need to cook them. So that's kind of more or less evenly spread. Now there is a kind of a bit of a technique, but you need to do it with confidence. It always works in the end. So the first bit is just roll these edges, and you can be quite forceful. But then as you roll, you want to tuck the meringue in. So you pull the cloth and then push the edges over the apples and the cream. As I do this, I pull the cloth and tuck in. So pull and tuck, like so. And in the end, I want the meringue to just kind of fall on the seam at the bottom. So it kind of weighs the cream and apple down and you don't see the seam. And I'm gonna just trim the edges a bit. If you like it super rustic, you can keep it as it is. I'm just gonna use this serrated knife to just, and don't throw it away, of course. This tastes delicious, so use all that lovely stuff. Just munch on it. Lovely. There you go. So I kept some of that cream, and that is going to be spread on top. And you may have been wondering why I kept all these beautiful things. So that is that's the autumnal topping that goes on top. So I'm gonna break this. I'm gonna break this vanilla pod and kind of layer it around. I've got these bay leaves, and you can be quite creative here and spread them and layer them as you like. Really, that's the icing on this beautiful cake. And then I'm just gonna give it one last final touch, which is some freshly grated orange. So that's one of the flavors here. And just for extra color and freshness. And that's kind of it. So that is just, for me, this could not be more delicious and more autumnal and more beautiful. So Jens, my pavlova is here for your judgment.
It looks really, really good, I have to say.
Yeah? You want to try some?
Of course.
It's so squidgy, isn't it? It's so good. It's very easy to eat a lot of this.
Yeah.
As an expert, what's your verdict on my meringue pavlova?
Oh, you did a really, really good job, I have to say.
You have to say it because I'm your boss.
Well, as well, yes. Very well done.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm Jens. I'm going to show you one extra good thing from the brown sugar meringue roulade. I'm going to do something with nuts, with hazelnuts, and I'm going to do a gianduja cream with hazelnuts, a little bit of salt, and maybe some alcohol. We go with the whipping cream, mascarpone, and gianduja ganache. So we are looking for a sort of thick consistency, but we want to be careful that we don't over whip it. So that's ready. Sprinkle the roulade with a little bit of hazelnut liqueur. Okay, next up we're going to put the cream on top. We're going to keep a little bit left for the decoration later. So I've got a hazelnut spread here from a well-known brand from your supermarket. I have hazelnuts toasted in a hazelnut liquor and icing sugar, or you can also do a hazelnut brittle, where you make a caramel and then you toss your toasted hazelnuts in it. And the last thing I'm going to put into the roulade is just a pinch of salt. Perfect. Nice and round. Sift some icing sugar on there. And now we're just gonna spoon that on top of the roulade. I just really like these hazelnut brittle. And then the very last step, we take some coffee. Or you can take cocoa powder as well. I'm just gonna sprinkle some of that on top. There we go, a hazelnut meringue roulade. I hope you enjoyed this.
So good.
Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. The links to all the recipes are below. And please also add comments below to what you did with your extra good things.